Welcome to Through the Back Loop. This is a knitting podcast, and it's a place where I share mostly knitting, sometimes sewing, and sometimes quilting and spinning, but usually mostly knitting. This is episode 17, and I'd like to welcome you here. I have some new subscribers and some new friends that have joined us, and so I just want to make sure that you feel welcome, and I'm thrilled that you decided to join us. The name of this episode is Staying Connected, and I hope that you are staying connected in this kind of difficult time that we're in. One of the ways that I help feeling grounded and connected is through this podcast, so I hope that that can offer a little bit of that for you as well. Hope you're staying connected to friends and your family, whether it's virtually or however you've decided to navigate those waters. But mostly I hope that you're staying connected to yourself and your passions and what brings you joy and what's important to you and those kinds of things. So that's always my biggest challenge. But definitely knitting fulfills a lot of that need. So that's part of why I do this. So today, this format is going to be kind of traditional with knitting podcasts. I'm going to start with finished objects, go into whips, and give you a list of some of my favorite podcasts that I've been watching lately and a few acquisitions. So we'll just get started. The very first thing that I want to talk to you about on a finished object is what I'm wearing. This is the ARDENT. It is by KINDRED Red, and if you've seen one of my previous podcasts, you know that I did this as a knit along with my neighbor Angela, just right down the street. She picked the pattern. I never would have been daring enough to pick this, but it was a ton of fun. And I'm going to show you some of the pictures of hers because hers is completely different colors, and she did hers a little bit differently. So it was so fun to see the two of them. But the ARDENT is made from, the yarn is MOJAVE, which is 60% cotton and 40% linen. So again, cotton and linen, which is perfect for the climate. And it's pretty cropped in the front. I modified mine and made it longer. And it has a split hem. And then one of the biggest surprises is the sun on the back. And this project was a complete adventure from beginning to end. You started at the beginning by making, if you can see it, a folded hem. And then you knit up, and of course this is kind of like a little piece of so-called intarsia, although it's like the simplest form of intarsia. You just twisted it, or you just made sure that there was an X there at the center, and before you started the new color. And so you came up, and then the V-neck, it ends up being this I-cord along here, which is pretty interesting. And then you go over the shoulder, and she has you doing short rows that form the shoulder. And so you knit over the shoulder and then down the back. And I had never, ever done any construction like that. So I was like sort of a little confused the whole way. Angela was ahead of me in the pattern. So I kept texting her and saying, what's happening here, and she kind of knew what was going on. One thing, if you do decide to do this pattern, they tell you in the pattern to make this really tight right here, and that feels so unnatural to me to like really pull it tight, so I did it only sort of tight, and then I did have a little stretched piece of yarn there, and I had to go back and kind of doctor that up later. But it's a fun knit. you're not bored at all because something is constantly changing. And then after you get it all knitted, then you do these ruffly sleeves, which were interesting, and then they also have a folded hem. So lots of new techniques, things I hadn't tried. And I never naturally would have gone this bold with a color. So I'm glad I did, and I've already worn it quite a few times. I just wear it with jeans, but you know, here in Southern California, it's hot, and so the linen and the cotton are just perfect, and it's super comfortable. So it was a win. It was great. And I want to put up the pictures of Angela right here. She did a little bit more subdued colors, but she's paired it with not only with jeans, but this really cute skirt. So I want to make sure these come up. So here they are right here. All right. Let's see. Oh, the other thing that I have worked on and finished since the last time I podcast, which it's shocking that I've done both of these. That kind of lets you know how long it's been since I've podcast. But I finished my Soldotna by Caitlin Hunter. And this is one that probably most people that are knitters are already familiar with. It came out a couple years ago, so I am very late to the party. And it is a top-down circular yoke with stranded colorwork knitting. And it's a DK yarn, so it does go relatively fast. And I knew that I was worried about the content of the fiber because I thought if it's DK and it's double, if it's stranded, it's going to be so hot. And so the pattern itself is supposed to be short sleeved. And I went ahead and made it long sleeved because I knew that something this warm, even though this yarn is ARNO, it's by BERROCO, and it's, let's see, what is the content? I think it's 57 cotton, 43 wool. So even though I made it with cotton and wool, I still thought it would be really hot. So I thought if I'm going to be cold enough to wear a DK sweater, I probably want to have sleeves as well. So the sleeves, oh my gosh, the sleeves took longer than the body, I swear. And I don't know if it's, because Sleeve Island, you think you do the body and you're like, oh, I'm almost done. It won't be that much longer. And then, I swear, it took forever. I just wanted to be done. And I had to kind of design it as I went. So the pattern itself puts a cuff on about here. So I just kind of made it up. I put these little squares in. Then I was like, okay, I didn't want it to be double stranded on the arms, on the upper part of the arms, because I was afraid it might be tight. So I just did plain stockinette stitch and then kind of mirrored the same pattern as the body on the forearms. And one thing that I did on this is I kept trying it on and seeing how much longer I wanted, to figure out the decreases on the sleeve. And that worked out really well. I think I'm going to do that a lot with sweaters in the future, is just kind of disregard whatever the pattern says and just keep trying it on and decide when I want to put the decreases in, because for the first time in a long time, my sleeves aren't too long. So, yeah, I'm happy with that part of it. And what else can I say? I think I'll get quite a bit of good out of it this winter. I did lengthen it. The pattern itself is even more cropped. This is still cropped on me, and I will put up some pictures of me wearing it, but it's definitely a longer crop than the pattern called for. Anyway, so yeah, another finished object. So when fall comes, I'll be all set for some cooler weather. And I think it'll be really comfortable since it is cotton and wool. But anyway, I can't tell you how happy and thrilled I was to be done with these killer sleeves. I was joking around saying it's not Sleeve Island, it's like Sleeve Continent, because it took 100 years. So that is another finished object. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you? I told you about the yarn, the Arno, and you probably noticed I did a pink, a green, and a navy, and white. So I had 4 colors in it, and they were all Arno. And I ended up having to order some more yarn when I decided to lengthen it and do the sleeves. So, you know, I thought I had enough when I started, but I ended up having to order more, but that's okay. All right, moving right along. One more finished object, just fresh off the needles, and this is kind of the beginning of Christmas knitting for me. I did complete a pair of socks that are called Yours and Mine socks, and these are knit out of Berroco, so it's my second Berroco yarn. Didn't think of that. And this is Vintage DK, and the pattern is called, I already said, Yours and Mine socks. It's by ELORA B. And the pattern itself, it's a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, and the pattern has 2 sizes. One is kind of a size for women, and one's more for men, but it does include a chart, and I'm not sure if I have that right in front of me. It does include a chart that tells you all the different sizes and all the different, here it is. So it does include the sizing chart, so you could adapt it to, you know, a lot of sizes. So there you see women's size 5 going all the way from size 5 to size 12. And I have decided, part of my Christmas knitting is I'm going to knit a pair of these for my immediate family. So these will be the ones for my daughter. And I, a few years ago, sewed some flannel pajamas for everybody in my family. I know that's really kind of dorky, but you know, it's Christmas, you're supposed to be dorky, right? And so I made these red and white flannel pajama bottoms, and they've worn them, you know, the last couple of Christmases. And so I wanted to make something else, and so we'll all have these are, since they're DK, they're more like house socks. They're not almost like slippers, like you wouldn't, I don't know, I don't think you'd want to wear these in shoes because they're kind of thick. But anyway, so I just have this, you know, this little Christmas dream that everybody will have on their flannel jammies, and then they'll have their Christmas socks. And so I'm going to make each one of them a little bit different so everybody doesn't get them all mixed up. So I don't know who this one will be for yet, but this was more of a man's size sock, and I've gotten this far in it. And it's quick and easy, and I don't think it'll be too bad to make 5 pair of them. I think, you know, I think I can zip through it pretty fast. And all of them are in colors of, I got 2 different colors of gray. Oh, what did I do with the other one? I'm not sure where it is. There's a darker color of gray and red and white. So it's like a light gray like this, a darker gray, and then this kind of cream color and white. So I think I can get several pair out of about 4 skeins. I think I can do that. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so that's both a finished object and a whip. And you know, I do love it when you make something for the second time, because especially when you're using the same materials, because you're just so acquainted with the yarn and the pattern, and it, you know, it's just, I mean, not that this was hard to begin with, it wasn't, but there's something about just getting used to, you know, the weight and the fiber content and whatever kind of needles you're using. I'm doing DPNs for these. but it's a fun little project. So we'll see how that goes and see if they'll actually wear them, but I think they will. I think they will. All right. While I'm kind of on the Christmas theme and kind of moving into whips, I want to show you, and I thought I would wait and actually open this on the podcast. One of the emails that came from Church Mouse Yarns, and I don't know about you guys, but right now I just entertain myself with all the emails that people, especially knitting emails that I get, and I'm tempted more than ever to just buy whatever is out there. So this was one of my temptations that I couldn't turn down. And I purchased this kit from Church Mouse. It's called Jolly Wee Elf. And you can see these guys are just, I always have trouble with directions on the screen. They're just very simple little elves, I guess. They don't even have a face. And here's a picture on the back. And I'm just going to make them kind of for my mantle on my fireplace. And it's great because this darling little box came and it was wrapped, so carefully in tissue paper and everything. And so I'm going to open it. It says Jolly Wee Elves Kit. And I do believe there's enough for 3 of them. I'm pretty sure. And all the stuff that comes in here, I'll show you. Oh, it's so cute. It's got this Jameson Shelton Spindrift yarn, which is so sweet. It's so, rough and rustic and nubby and just perfect for winter. So here are the 3 skeins. It looks like it's a red, a cream, and this is kind of a light gray, I guess. And then, I don't know what this is for. We'll see. I should look on here and see. I guess these are kind of the faces, I guess. And then they include everything, including the little weights that go in the bottom so that they don't fall over. Even a little needle to sew things up. And then I can't remember if I had to purchase the pattern separately. It seems like I did, if I remember correctly. But anyway, then some more directions, I guess. So I'll have to dig into that. But anyway, I'm getting kind of, in the Christmas spirit here. If you're a knitter, you have to get in the Christmas spirit, so you don't stress yourself out. And which I've done that plenty of times. I have done that. I've even been known to wrap something up that's not completed and the needles and everything are still in the project, and I still wrap it up and give it to the person. My kids used to not really appreciate that when I would do that, but anyway, so yeah, this is very soon on the horizon along with the Christmas socks. While we're talking about Christmas, and whoops, I think I've said this on this podcast before, but I plan on making my Christmas sweater this year is going to be the Pink Velvet by Andrea Mowry. And I've had the yarn for it. And I really want that to be my Christmas sweater. So I know that I need to get going here pretty soon. So that might be my next major cast on. It's between that and then another, temptation buy from an email was a cardigan called Softly Spoken Cardigan, and I'll put a picture up here. And I ordered the yarn for it and everything. The yarn is this lovely Rowan yarn, baby CASHSOFT merino. And I didn't remember this until I was just now looking at it, but the content is 57 wool, 33% acrylic, and 10% cashmere. So, I usually am kind of snobby about acrylic, but it might make it really easy to take care of. And if you could feel this, there's nothing plasticky feeling about this, and it's so soft. Maybe that's the little bit of cashmere that's in there. But anyway, so I still haven't decided. I have a tendency to think that this will be my next cast on because if I don't make that short little cardigan now while it's still warm out, then I know that the chances of it being put on the back burner and abandoned are really great because I won't be looking at it again till next summer. And there'll be so many things that will grab my attention between now and next summer. So this probably with the Rowan yarn with on the softly spoken cardigan is most likely my next cast on, which will be soon, because I know that even though these socks are going quickly, I don't want to knit 5 pair in a row without knitting something else in between, because I'll just go a little crazy if I do that. So, and I don't want it to turn into drudgery. So anyway, Christmas knitting, and then probably the little cardigan is what's going to be keeping me busy the next month or so. All right. Moving right along here, I wanted to chat with you just a moment about some knitting podcasts that I've been really enjoying lately. One of them is one that I had mentioned previously, and I really meant to put her link in the down bar. It's Lynne from CALON Yarns, and she is from Wales, and she just has the most delightful conversational tone and some beautiful projects. She's a new spinner and is just doing great with all of her spinning and knitting, and she has the most beautiful accent. So she's someone that I've been enjoying watching. The other one is a new podcast. It's Linda from For the Fun of Knit. She's a Canadian woman that is just, oh my gosh, I reached out to her because I just felt like she was a friend of mine. She just chats so easily and is hilarious, and she just has this great enthusiasm for knitting. She's a relatively new knitter, and her enthusiasm is just infectious. And I just watched one of her podcasts recently about her Christmas knits, and that kind of inspired me to get going too. I mean, I already had this on the in the queue, but just really wonderful enthusiasm. She's newly retired and a new knitter, and just her passion for learning and new projects is great. So I really hope that you'll check her out. The other one is SARA from AVID Knits. She is in Texas, and she is a young woman that is so incredibly articulate and smart. And she speaks her mind, and I share a lot of her same views. And she's just as equally an incredible knitter. She does a lot of sample knits for shops and designers and stuff. So she knits these, incredibly can't say it, intricate, there it is, projects, and then they just go to a shop or somewhere, and I'm just always like, oh my god, I could never let go of that after putting that much time and effort into it. So I will include her link below. Encourage you to check that one out too. Knitting podcasts are another way that I feel connected to not only the knitting world, but just other people. And it's just fun to kind of zone out and work on my projects and see, hang out with knitting friends, even though we're not, even though we're like, thousands of miles apart. So I hope you'll check those out. One other thing that I'm doing actually tonight at 5 o'clock is there is a Zoom. It's called A Virtual Evening with Shibui, and it's through Zoom, and it is a yarn store up in Pacific Grove, California, called Monarch Knitting. And it's like kind of like a trunk show, and there's a couple of people from Shibui that are going to be showing, I guess they're going to be showing some samples and stuff. I don't know exactly, except this part was pretty cool. You had to pay $10 to be a part of it, which is the first time that I've ever really paid to be in a Zoom thing, but it just sounded really interesting. And what they did was they sent these 3 samples of these Shibui yarns to me. So this one, if you can see it, I guess you say that Sema, and this one is 70% alpaca, 30 merino, and this is a lace weight. And so they are welcoming you to just knit along, knit with the yarn as they're showing the different samples. So that's one of them. Here's another one. Oh, this one is, a lot of people are familiar with this one. This is Tweed Silk Cloud, and it's 65 silk and 35 mohair. And it's, a lot of, oh gosh, this stuff is heavenly. It's so pricey, but that would be really fun to knit something with that. And then I think this is a new one. This one's Haven, and it is merino 80% and 20% cashmere, and it's a DK. So it's kind of like a yarn tasting where they're having you, knit along and just do a little sample and see what it feels like on the needles. And then I'm assuming they're going to show projects. And then the other thing is, if you do decide to buy some yarn, you can apply the $10 that you paid towards a purchase. And they keep that offer good for a couple of weeks. So hopefully I don't buy anything too expensive, because Shibui is really, really expensive, I think. I mean, it's worth it. It's beautiful, but it'll be fun. I can't wait to try it. That's tonight from, let's see, 5 to 6 tonight. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then the last thing that I kind of wanted to share with you, it's going to be a short podcast today, are just some new things that I've purchased. And the first one is actually from the same yarn shop that I am going to do the Shibui event with. And they just had something for 50% off that I could not pass up. And this is the Elder from Ritual Dyes. And wow, I saw this yarn at, I think it was Stitches SoCal, like not last year, but the year before. And the sweater that I want to make is I don't know how to say it, but I think you say it, Koi Vua. And I'll put a picture up. It's another Caitlin Hunter. And it was so beautiful. I actually touched it, and it was just stunning. But talk about pricey. This is $38.95 a skein, and I was like, oh, no way. I can't buy a sweater quantity of that. Even I have my limits. And so I didn't, and every time I see that sweater, I just like, oh my God. But anyway, it was half off, and I was only able to get 3 skeins, but I think I can make it work because, of the other colors that you end up putting in that sweater. So anyway, I wish you could feel this too, because it's incredible. It is Rambouillet, 100% Rambouillet wool, and it's light worsted. And it's just, oh my gosh, the quality of this is just amazing. So I don't know when that'll happen, but maybe later on in the winter. And then the other thing that I just purchased is a funny little gadget. You may have one already. This is a knitting light that you can wear around your neck. And it's great like for, at night or something. And especially if you're somewhere where, there's other people around and they don't, haven't used it watching TV yet. Because my husband and I watch TV in separate rooms. He watches different stuff than me, and he wouldn't like all my knitting podcasts anyway. But anyway, I've had my eye on this for a long time. It came from Amazon. I'll put the link below. It's like $13, I think. But the thing that really, I wanted this from before, but then I saw somebody with their sewing machine and they were using this to really get down in there when they were cleaning the fuzz and stuff out of their sewing machine. And I thought, oh, I definitely could use that for a lot of different things. So anyway, that's my funny little purchase, and thought there might be a lot of knitters that, or sewers that might be interested in that. Speaking of sewing, I've just been so into these projects, the ARDENT and the SOLDOTNA and the Christmas socks, that I haven't done one stitch of sewing, which is sad, makes me sad. And maybe I should sew something before I take on too many more knitting projects, because once I start a project, I personally am a monogamous knitter, and I become very obsessed and driven, and I just can't stop. So I don't know, maybe I should do some little sewing, because I do have some fabrics that are sitting there staring at me, waiting for me to turn them into something. So anyway, that's all I really have for today. It's wonderful to see you. I hope that you are staying connected to everybody you love and to your true self, and we'll see you next time. Until then, take good care. Bye-bye.